Okay, your biggest problem with dating and relationships isn't commitment, isn't sex, it's not options, it's time. Let's begin with something so obvious it almost feels impolite to say out loud. Time is not neutral. Time is not just there, lying around like spare change in the couch, waiting to be allocated to whatever we claim to be most valuable. Time is the actual currency. It's the only currency. And like all currencies, it reveals ruthlessly what we worship. This is where modern dating collapses entirely because the cultural script now goes something like this: work first, get stable, and optimize yourself. Then later, in your 30s, add love. The problem, of course, is that later functions like one of those asymptotes, the little curves in math class where they never quite, you know what I'm talking about. It never quite, you can approach it infinitely, but it never quite arrives, right? Work expands, anxiety expands, preparation becomes permanent. And if love shows up at all, it arrives already shortchanged, already forced to audition for the role it was never meant to play, the role of something optional. Here's the paradox. We say marriage is the most important decision of our lives, but we structure our lives so that it must compete for attention with inboxes, deadlines, performance metrics, and the low grade existential panic of tomorrow morning. We give the bulk of our best hours to work and then wonder why intimacy feels thin or transactional or exhausting altogether. We are surprised that relationships struggle when they're fed only what remains after we've spent all of our time elsewhere. I lived this, not theoretically, not observationally. I lived it. I'm 45 and single, so I know what I'm talking about here. And dating, it's just a whole nother thing. And what becomes clear once you've been honest about this is that dating doesn't fail because people are too picky or too broken or too afraid. It fails because it is starved of shared time, not quality time, which is a euphemism that should really worry us, but quantity. The slow, boring, unoptimized hours where two people simply exist together long enough for affection, irritation, loyalty, and grace to emerge. And this is why young people, specifically students, have an unfair advantage here. Not because they're wiser, God knows they know nothing, but because time is abundant and unclaimed. Two college kids, two high school kids can fall in love largely by accident because all they do is hang out. They eat together, walk together, waste time together, repeat the same days together over and over until attachment becomes almost inevitable. Time does the heavy lifting. Love is allowed to be inefficient. Love should be inefficient. Contrast this with adult dating, which resembles a cross between a job interview, a logistics operation, and some sort of psychological chess match. Calendars must align, energy must be summoned, emotional risk must justify the opportunity cost of not answering your email or preparing for tomorrow's work. Love becomes something you schedule, which already means it's lost. And here's where Catholic insight matters. Modern people don't lack desire, they lack rightly ordered desire. We don't know what deserves first place. We say we want intimacy, but we live as if security, productivity, and self optimization are safer gods. Work promises control. Love doesn't. Work rewards effort, predictability. Love demands vulnerability and gives no guarantees. So we choose what feels manageable and call it maturity. This also explains why marrying young can work if there's a shared framework strong enough to survive immaturity. And Christianity provides that framework, not because Christians are better behaved, but because the faith supplies a telos, a destination that is not invented on the fly. Marriage is not primarily about self-fulfillment. It's about sanctification. You don't wait until you're finished to commit. You commit because you're unfinished. You grow up together instead of apart, ordered towards something higher than mutual convenience. Without that framework, marrying young is just two unfinished people locking their chaos together. With it, it can be an act of radical trust that time, suffering, forgiveness, and grace will do their work if you show up and stay. The deeper issue here is not generational or economic or even romantic. It's theological, whether we admit it or not. We are always giving our time to something we believe will save us. And modern dating culture is the collateral damage of a society that has decided quietly, efficiently, that work is more reliable than love. But love doesn't survive on leftovers. It requires primacy, it requires waste, it requires time that could have been used better but wasn't. And until we are willing to reorder our lives accordingly, we will keep insisting we want intimacy while building lives that make it nearly impossible, which is not a mystery, it's a confession.